going to do a demonstration on iCoat's metal illusion countertop system. As a finished sample in the foreground, we're going to make the exact same thing using the sample that's in the background that has the iCoat countertop composite applied to it as it should be. To do this, you're going to need the iCoat countertop epoxy CT100. You can see we've got an A and a B component. You need a mixing container, a brush, a torch, a spray bottle, some mineral spirits, or isopropyl alcohol, xylene, any kind of a solvent that we're going to use for a dispersant. You'll want some gloves, and you'll need the metal illusion pigment and the metal illusion edge primer. One of the challenges with the countertop is that when you mix the metal illusion into the epoxy and apply it to the top, it gives you your nice bold color. However, when it runs over the edge, it exposes too much of the white or whatever color you have underneath. So we need to apply the edge primer in the same color to the edges, and we can do that in a few coats, 2 or 3 coats ought to do it. Pour that into a container, mix it up well, and apply it to the edge prior to doing the surface. And the edge primer dries very quickly, and we can use a few coats. So we'll put 2, maybe 3 coats on there, and then we'll be moving on to the top. After the primer is completely dried on the edges, then we're going to go ahead and mix up the epoxy. Epoxy is an A and a B unit. These are our standard iCoat countertop epoxy. We will be careful to measure out equal amounts of A and B. 16 ounces of A. B. We'll go ahead and mix that together. I like to mix with a brush as opposed to a stir stick for a couple of reasons. One is that it's easier to scrape all around the edges, plus it's a much bigger mixing surface. And you'll just mix until it's of a uniform consistency. You'll see the material starts to get clear as it's properly mixed. All the sides, all the bottom. Now that it's properly mixed, we're going to go ahead and transfer that product into another container, and we will add the metal illusion pigments. Okay, we'll pour some of this epoxy into another container. We will add some of the metal illusion pigment. And we'll stir that well, mixing the pigment into the epoxy. mixed well. Set this aside for another color. Use the brush to apply some of the metal illusion pigments onto the surface. You're going to use the standard rate that you would apply epoxy on any regular countertop. Nice uniform thickness. Entire surface covered, and we will also brush material on the sides over the pre-primed edges. See, as it starts to settle out, some patterning becomes evident. You can do a number of different things by bringing in some different surfaces like that. You can see that that leaves a pattern, but we'll come in and just fool around with it. As the metal does, it will settle out into the epoxy and create kind of a 3D effect. You'll see as these bubbles pop, that kind of takes on a very unique look. We'll use a torch to pop the bubbles more in a few moments, and then we'll use a dispersant on there as it settles. But I'm going to let that sit for 5 or 10 minutes, and then we will add a little bit more depth. As you can see, as the metallics kind of settle in there and get some depth is created, and then we'll come in and you can do it like this, give it a little bit of a chop, or you can come across and give it a kind of a pattern, whatever you're looking for. It's just going to create a lot of unique looks. And create some unique looks. We'll let that settle for just a second. We'll take the torch to it. As you can see, it's taking the bubbles out of the epoxy. It's freshly torched. We'll go ahead and spray some of the dispersant on there, which will create a very unique pattern to the surface. Really unlimited as far as the different things that you can do. You can drag some veining in there to create some depth through the materials. What you're doing is just disrupting the epoxy. creating some very unique looks. And then we'll just let that settle out and it'll be a done deal there. You'll obviously want to make sure that you get some complete coverage on the edge. It's important to reapply a few times just to make sure it's completely uniform on the edges as well. It's completely covered, that there's no drips and runs on the edge. Go ahead and spray some of the material on the edge just to give it that hammered kind of a look that you've created on the top. Now, as you can see, the material settled out completely flat. Again, the epoxy is flat, and you've got this just beautiful finished countertop look with the metal illusion. I'm going to set this aside. There's a few other different things that we can do with the metal illusion pigments.